I'd love to have him at home, but I know I can't.
It was hard, wasn't it? Finding out about what you could and couldn't do.
It's a very different setup than traditional aged care, than anything else in the world.
It looks like your average local community. There's a hair salon, corner store, wellness spa, cafe and cinema. But this little village is special.
The reason we call it the micro town is because we built it on that basis. All of the services that we thought people would want.
People like Paul Heckler, who was just 52 years old when his life changed forever.
Paul hadn't been working for some time and was complaining of trouble seeing and that kind of thing.
A series of tests 5 years ago would eventually see the electrician and father of two diagnosed with younger onset dementia.
And Paul was an avid cyclist as well, so that became a big issue because that was the way he kept fit.
In a cruel twist, family friends Angie and Stephen Nicol have been on a similar path. 4 years ago, Brisbane pastor Stephen was hit by a car while riding his bike, but that was just the beginning.
From that accident, he had just had broken bones, but he just changed. He was just really strange. He was losing things all the time.
It took 5 months for Stephen to be diagnosed with dementia. He was just 57.
Certainly had no idea that it was going to be dementia. Stephen was at home with me for years after that, and he immediately couldn't work. From the day of the accident, he didn't work again. They immediately took his licence on diagnosis.
Following a decline in Stephen's condition, Angie knew she could no longer take care of him herself, despite studying a diploma of dementia care in a bid to better understand the disease that was cruelly robbing her husband of his freedom.
If it wasn't bad enough, but to go into a facility, he was in a dementia secure unit, and it's horrible because the residents there are highly medicated and they just sort of walk around quite lifeless.
Angie knew it wasn't a place for the father of 5.
It was horrible. It was very hard to take the children in there, and it's closed, so they're not walking around. And so he was there for about 6 months. It was very difficult.
Now Stephen and Paul are both here at a unique aged care community just north of Brisbane, where 60% of residents are living with dementia. Natasha Chadwick is the founder and CEO of New Direction Care. This village is her creation.
The main inspiration for me was actually when I stopped and actually thought about, what if my mum, this person that I loved, needed aged care? What if she, was diagnosed with dementia? Would I be happy for her to go into institutional or traditional aged care? And I realised that even after working in the industry for so many years, I didn't want her to have that experience.
There are 97 residents ranging in age from 47 to 101, all with varied levels of care, but also with the freedom to live how they wish without locked rooms and strict regimes. Up to 8 residents live in each house, which has been designed with them in mind. The interior of the properties, the work of the block judge, Shayna Blaze, whose own mother had Alzheimer's and required high care.
We developed a survey, and that identifies 6 different lifestyles for people here in Australia, and all of our homes have been designed around those lifestyles. So if you're someone who's a very modern, progressive person, you're going to live in a modern, progressive home.
Each property also has its own house companion, like Elizabeth Barnes.
They provide all of the cares for the residents. They do the cooking, they do the cleaning, they do the medication, as well as providing support for the residents, emotionally or social support.
Both Angie and Astrid say they've noticed significant improvements in their husbands since moving into the facility.
He's happy, we're happy, and it's like we're still at home, but we're not, and he's got the full-time nursing care.
But Paul, you mentioned that it was like going back and, when you were younger, house sharing, being a flatmate with somebody, so it's kind of got that feel about it, hasn't it? Because you've all got to pitch in together, decide what you want to eat and make those choices together as a household.
Having a cafe, having access to services that had, probably stopped for them, for many of them in their lives at home, being able to have that experience and get that normality back, if you like.
Marie McCabe, CEO of Dementia Australia, agrees independence where possible is important.
The worst possible thing that we can do is to stop people doing things, and traditionally that's what we've done in the past. We've thought we've been helping, that it's easier or quicker for us to do it, but it really is important for the person to be able to live to their level of capacity and ability and to what they want.
The village is similar to this one in the Netherlands, but it only caters to those with severe dementia.
Our biggest difference is that all of the people that are living here at New Direction Care at Belmere, they're a multitude of diagnoses, so it's a very inclusive community. You might be living in a house like this, someone who's incredibly cognitively aware, they might be living with motor neurone, and then they'll be living next door to someone who has and is living with dementia.
It's a model that's catching on around the country, with a $25 million dementia village set to open in Tasmania next year, and another planned for Victoria. New Direction Care also hopes to expand its facilities.
Our intention is to build a vertical concept so that we can demonstrate that it can be done in an urban environment as well. Particularly if you look at Sydney or Melbourne, lack of land means that we have to go up.